All right. All right. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, listeners. Welcome to this week's edition of our weekly business podcast, Business Talk with Fon Felix, our weekly business bulletin, where we share essential tips for business success. This is our own way of contributing to the success of business, our own way of contributing and helping the business community to grow. This is what we do every Wednesday from 11 a.m. in the morning. We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube and other social handles. So please, if you're following us on YouTube, please remember to click on the subscription button so that you can get notifications of our weekly and subsequent editions. And also, if you're following us on Facebook, on Instagram, or other handles, please remember to like, share, comment, tag someone that you know will be benefiting to these teachings. And of course, like we always encourage you, please do well to share your own experiences. Please do well to drop us a comment, do well to drop us a review of how best we can serve you better. Thank God the business year is winding, the business year is coming to an end, and a lot of businesses are doing well. A lot of businesses have also suffered some roadblock in the course of transactions. However, business must continue to be business, and we must continue to be in business and remain in business. Last week, in the last week edition, we discussed about the role of auditing, the role of auditing or the importance of auditing in business. And we established a ground that auditing is important for you to know your financial ground, or auditing is important for you to know your financial status. Auditing is important for you to know how well or how best your business is doing. So we established a ground also that when you're in business, because for the fact that many people are in business with loans, many people are in business using facilities, many people are in business of using investors' money, those who are into partnership, those who are into contract agreement. So whatever thing you're doing, you should be able to follow up and let your partners, let your investors, let your team know how far and how well the business is faring. So it is through auditing that you'll be able to know whether your business is doing well or your business is not doing well. So auditing is one of the key, very key a factor, a very important factor in business world. So you should be able at the end of the year to audit your account. You should be able at the end of the year and also establish a ground that you can hire an external auditor to avoid all loopholes, to avoid all lapses. You can hire a external auditor to help you audit your business transactions, to help you audit your business for the year. And that will help your business to gain more ground. That will help your business to gain more credibility. That will help your business to as well get more trust from your partners, because people want to know how best their business is fared. People want to know if the money they've used, the shares they've bought into your company, whether it is doing well or not. So everybody wants to be happy that at the end of the fiscal year, that there's something to share at the table. Nobody wants to hear that at the end of the business fiscal year that there was rather some losses instead of some profit that should have incurred into the business. So that was what we discussed last week on the importance of auditing in your business, the importance of auditing and the roles that auditing will play in your business. And we encourage everyone that, particularly as the year is coming to an end, as the fiscal year is coming to an end, that you should be able to try as much as possible to ensure that your business account is audited. Ensure that your business account is audited. This will also help you to prepare for the next fiscal year. This will also help you to prepare yourself ahead of the 2026 business year. And through the auditing, you also know the key performance indicator of your business, those people you employ, your personnel who are working for you. It is through auditing you actually also know their performance. So I will establish the ground that when the auditing is done or during the auditing, if there's a staff, there's a personnel that seems not to be contributing to the business, who is not contributing very much well to the business, of course, as if that be an indicator against your losses in the business, then of course that person should be shown the way out, because we're in business to make profit, we're in business to make impact, we're in business to make progress. So we are not in business to just count days and numbers. Rather, we want to grow from one level to another in business. So that was what we discussed last week in Business Talk with Fon Felix. Today, of course, we shall continue on the discussion with another topic. Today, we shall be discussing on managing losses in business. Managing losses in business. How do you manage losses in business? How do you manage loss in business? Of course, there's one thing that's inevitable in business is loss. In as much as profit is inevitable, it's the same likewise with that. Losses is also inevitable. And we of course, severally we have established the ground that business is not always a win-win thing. Sometimes there's a win-win or a win-lose, or sometimes there's a lose-lose. So many times in business world, you lose all the time. Many times you make some little profit, and you as well make some little losses at the same time. But many times as business people, we are hit with huge profit against we are hit with huge losses against profit. This is how the business world is all about. So how do you manage losses in business? So sometimes some losses can come in forms of tsunamis. Some losses can come in form of tornadoes. You understand me? They can come just hit the business very hard. That if you don't know how to manage those losses, you'll be out of business. That if you don't know how to manage those situations, you'll definitely be out of business. So how do you manage losses in business is a question. Somebody will ask, why should I in the first place incur losses? The question is that in as much as you're making profit, there's every tendency for you to also make losses. If there's every tendency for you to make profit, of course, there's every tendency for you as well to do what? To make losses. So losses are not losses most times. Sometimes it can be caused by accident. The other time, sometimes it can be caused by inefficiency. Sometimes it can be caused by mistakes. Sometimes it can be caused by inappropriation. So one thing that is certain in business is that losses must surely come in. You understand me? It can be losses either in case of change of prices, change of market prices. It can be losses in case of damages. It can be losses in case of theft. It can be losses in case of bankruptcy. It can be losses in case of attack. It can be losses in case of government sealing up your properties and all of that. So losses are inevitable in business, and this is not something that we should pray against. This is not something that we should bind and cast. Losses will be there. In as much as in business, you must surely encounter losses. But however, our prayer may likely be not to encounter huge losses, but we cannot pray against every kinds of losses. We must suffer loss in business. We must surely suffer losses in business, because that is part of business. So that is why in the ledger book, like we have always discussed in this bulletin, we have the business ledger book. We also have the loss ledger book. That's a profit and loss transaction book. So why do we have profit and loss when we don't want to encounter losses? Why do we have profit and loss when we know we don't want to encounter losses? Or possibly because you have prayed every morning, you have prayed every Sunday, encountering and conquering and kicking against every forms of losses. Losses must surely come. So that is one thing that we must have it in back of our mind in business. And that is why when people comes to business, people come as a business consultant, people comes to as a startup business consultant rather, but people comes to say, okay, what are going into the business world? And one of the things I will have to let you know is that there must be losses. You understand me? So you must encounter losses in business. So, but how well you're able to manage the situation will determine how far you can go in business. You understand me? So how well you're able to manage the losses situation in business will determine how far you can go in business. But one thing that should be inevitable in your mind, one thing that should be at the back of your mind or in the front of my mind, if there's any word like that, is that losses must surely prevail. Losses must surely come. You understand me? So as you're making profits, you should also be countering losses. And I was in a discussion with somebody, with a colleague sometime recently, particularly, and we were analyzing his business. And I asked him, how do you manage your profit? And he was like, oh, profit. Oh, by the time I look at the profit that comes, I remove some part and I enjoy some part. And that is good. And we try to laugh over it, how to manage profit in business. Of course, everybody will know how to manage profits. Of course, you can bank some, you can save some, you can invest some. And of course, you can as well take up some portions or some percentage and take care of yourself, because of course, that is why you're in business. You have to take care of yourself. But the situation comes that, how do you manage losses? And by the time I threw up the question to him, and he was dumbfounded, was like, why should I even plan for loss? How can I even manage loss? And I told him that the situation is that you cannot prevent loss in business. Yes, you cannot prevent loss in business. You may be able to try to minimize losses, yes. You can try to minimize losses. You can try to cushion the effect of losses. You can try to salvage a little bit upon the situation when it happens, but you cannot entirely remove or wipe out losses from your business, because you're in business. Losses must surely come. So to help you manage losses in business, you must first analyze your finances. Do you understand? You must first analyze your finances to help you to identify the cause of it. So we have established the ground that losses is inevitable. We have established the ground that losses is there. Losses will always be there, and losses must continue to be in business. So how do we now manage it? Because I'm not telling you how do we avoid losses. I cannot tell you that, because we cannot totally avoid losses in business, right? We cannot totally avoid losses in business. So I'm not here to tell you how do we avoid losses, because we cannot, in the real sense, as a businessman, we cannot avoid losses, but rather we want to see how we can manage the situation. So how do you manage losses in business? And we said the first thing to do is to do what? Analyze your finances to help you identify the cause. Do you understand? Analyze your finances to help you identify the cause of it. Then, of course, you need to implement strategies. There are some certain strategies that you need to implement in your business that will help you to help you cut costs and, of course, help you increase revenue. You understand me? So first and foremost, you need to analyze your finances. That will help you to identify the cost. Then two, try to implement strategies like cutting costs and increasing revenue. Those are the possible ways you can manage the situation. Do you understand? So try as much as possible to, having analyzed the situations, you have identified the cause. Now you need to develop some strategies, and one of the strategies that we need to develop is how do we reduce costs? How do we cut costs in business? And sometimes about early this year, when we did one of the podcasts, I think at edition 15, we discussed about cutting costs in business. How do we cut costs in business? So we consider those things that are not important in business world. Those things might not be, they might be necessary, but they are not really important. The other as the time permit, we cut them costs. We cut those costs down to help you cut costs in business. We avoid some unnecessary expenses. We avoid some unmitigated expenses, things that may not be needed at that particular time. We try to avoid it. This will help us to cut costs. Of course, increase revenue. Those are the way you are trying to balance up the business. Remember, you have just suffering from business loss. You need to balance up. How do you balance up? Of course, you can increase your revenue to help you. This is crucial for you to manage, and of course, it's crucial for you to manage and, of course, increase your cash flow in the business world. It helps you to cushion the effect of losses. Do you understand? So we've talked about you developing strategic plans. You need to develop strategic plans for the future. And then particularly, you also need to seek professional advice. Do you understand me? So that is why we have the advisors, we have financial advisors, that we have financial auditor, that's why business consultant. Do you understand me? So you need to seek professional advice from professionals to help you manage the situations and to help you manage the losses in business. So what are the things to do when your business has run into a loss? What are the things you need to do when your business have run into a loss? One of the things you need to do, like I said, was analyze your finance. Analyze your finance. So let's find out what did we spend? Do you get it? What and what did we spend that eventually led us to a loss? Did we spend more than we planned for? Do you understand me? Did we spend more than we planned for? Somebody has a notion some time ago. Somebody posited that economics are very stingy. Yes, that economists are very stingy. That's people who studied or people who practices economics. That's economics or economists, that they are very stingy. And one of the days I was trying to find, I said, why do you think that economists are very stingy? He said, because they hardly give out arms. They hardly stretches hands of course, a financial fellowship. You understand that word? So they hardly give out. They hardly give you urgent 2K. So one of the things is not that actually that economics are actually stingy, but they are financiers, they are financial advisors. They don't spend things unnecessarily. So before an economist, you understand me, or a real businessman who knows how much pressure, how much he went through to get the money, we need to find out what actually do you need this money for. Do you understand me? What are the economic value of what you're spending? Do you get the picture? So what are the economic value of what you're spending? And if I'm spending 2,000 naira to you, how much value is it getting back in return? So those are the things. And by the time you're not able to defend, by the time you're not able to give incredibility or improve you the value that is expected of this expectation, so by that time they'll turn down your request, and you say that economics are very stingy. So it's not that they are very stingy, but rather they want to analyze, they want to get value, they want to spend for what we give them value for what they are spending. So you should be able to analyze, gather your income statement, your balance sheet and cash flow statement. You understand me? So balance your income statement, balance your balance sheet, your cash flow statement of account and all of that. So let's take our time and analyze what eventually happened. So how did we run into a loss? Do you get a picture? So how do we run into a loss? So we should be able to identify all of those factors to know where the losses are coming from. Then, of course, point number 2 on what to do when you encounter losses in your business is what? Cut costs. Like we say, review all outgoing expenses. Review all outgoing expenses. Everything you're spending for, you need to review it. Do you understand? You need to review what are you paying for. So you don't just spend money unnecessary. You don't just lavish money unnecessary. You don't just spend for what is not important or what is not also necessary. So you need to what? Cut costs, review what you're spending for, and particularly as you're spending the money, you need to, of course, negotiate with vendors. Do you get it? You need to cut costs at all costs. Renegotiate with your vendors and contractors. Sometimes a contractor may just give you an offer and just pay, you don't negotiate and all of that. But right now, your business is already suffering losses and you're trying to bounce back to business. So what are you supposed to do? Try to renegotiate with your vendors, renegotiate with your contractors, eliminate unnecessary spending and outsourcing tax. You understand me? Something that ordinarily you are paying for people to do, and this is something that within you have the capacity and ability to do it and to deliver it. So at this point in time, reduce all those unnecessary spending on tax or efforts, things you know that you can actually do for yourself. At this particular time, you're trying to bounce back. So you can as well do this thing for yourself and help you to save. Because of course, like we say, increase your revenue. So look for ways to grow your income. This can or necessarily might include readjusting your pricing strategies or implementing new marketing efforts. So you need to see how to increase revenue. Increase revenues because you're trying to bounce back. You're trying to get more money to balance back. So increase your revenue. Do you understand? And this can come either you're trying to grow your income, you are adjusting your prices, your market prices or your service prices, and of course, you also strategize on new marketing efforts. So how do you get more clients? How do you get more clients? How do you increase your customer base and all of this? So you just need to make up more efforts to make more to bring in more money into the table. So another key point that will help you to manage the situation when you've run into a business losses was to manage debt. You need to manage debt. At this point in time, you're already in a debt. Sometimes if you're using people's money, you're already indebted. You understand me? So you need to manage debt. You need to manage debt. Talk to your creditors. You understand me? Talk to people who also owing you. So talk to debtors to your company too. Try to reach out to those who are owing. Try to reach out to those who are yet to pay, either for contract they've not you rendered, or for those who are yet to pay for invoice that has been delivered. So you're just trying to source out money for everywhere. So try to manage your debt. Talk to creditors, and as well also talk to some debtors that are owing you. Try to see how that your current cash flow can be increased. Then of course, points number 5 on how to manage losses in your business is develop strategic plan. Yeah, we've talked about this in develop strategic plan. Try to think out of the box. So what is it that am I going to do? What kind of business plan what kind of business plan models am I going to implement that will help me to manage the situation, that will help me to survey the situation, to help me to bring more money? Because at this point in time, by the time your business have run into a loss, you need more money to bounce back. Do you understand me? Of course, if you're using people's money for partnership, or you're into investorship and all of that, people have invested their money into your brand, and something happens and you run out of loss. So you need to see how to develop other strategic plans to help you. So you need to create a comprehensive business plan, create a comprehensive business plan and business model to see how you can bounce back to life. And this will help you to make a projection, a financial projection, that in the next year that business can be better, and then in the next 2 months that business can also be better. Then of course, like we said lastly, we say seek professional advice. You understand me? So try to seek professional advice, like from that business advisors, business accountant, and all of that, business counselors, business consultant. So just try to reach out. You understand me? I've shared this step severally to all of us, that in business world, one thing is in business is what is openness. One thing in business is what is openness. You understand me? So just try to be open and transparent. So transparency is key factor in business also. So try to be transparent, try to be open, try to be honest. Let people know how far, how well you're faring in your business. You understand me? So business world is not a situation of how are you say I'm fine, even though you know you are not fine. How is business? Say business is fine, everything is fine. No, when things are not well, please be able to open up to people, especially to those professionals you know that will give you professional advice. Of course, maybe you can tell those layman in the street who doesn't know what you're going through that business is fine. Tell village people that all is doing well. Oh, how are you? You say I'm fine. What is it? Say thank God. Fine, but seek professional advice. Do you understand me? So this is not the time to relent only on God. We know that God is all-knowing God, and God can give solution to every factor. But there are people too who God has given those knowledge and experiences to help you. So you should be able to open up to them, let them know the situations, and seek advice from them, and be able to be honest, be able to be transparent, be able to be open to them, and let them know how best to help you to salvage the situation. So that way your business will grow. So we must see way to manage losses in business, like we have established. Remember, we established that losses is not something that is inevitable. Losses is something that is inevitable. Rather, you cannot evit it. Losses are everywhere. Losses are evident. Losses are imminent. So they must eventually happen in business world. However, we can pray against we having huge losses, or we are encountering huge losses. But whether, notwithstanding the amount or the percentage of loss, a loss is a loss. You understand me? A large corporation can lose $1 million, and that would be a small loss to them. But however, a little outfit can lose 1,000 naira, and that would be a very big loss to them. So you get a picture. So a loss is a loss, notwithstanding the percentage and the volume. But we can try as much as possible to reduce the effects of losses, but not that we can totally curtail or totally cut out losses in business. No, we may not be able to do that, because losses will eventually come. How do losses come? Of course, you can wake up this morning and hear there's a fire outbreak in your business. There will be losses. Like I've shared experiences of people whose lorries get destroyed, whose lorries get damages, whose goods on the sea coming from the seaport get of course get damaged on the river, or get damaged on the sea. People whose products traveling through roads get damaged either by rain or by bad roads and all of that. So there must be losses. So losses is there. Customers can come and out of excitement, out of your carelessness, instead of giving a customer a change of 100 naira, or giving a customer a change of 500. And of course, there are people, of course, as we know, that may not be honest enough to let you know, and they'll walk away, and that is losses for you. For like maybe people who are into transactions, who are into banking or agent banking, like the POS, Sometimes you see people come to do transactions, they want to withdraw money, maybe 100,000 per se, and you did the transaction and you did not even pay attention to know whether it was approved or not, and you just pay out the 100,000. And most times you find out that these persons, you don't even know them and they have no traces for you. So that is a very big loss for you. So losses must be imminent, losses must be evident, losses must be inevitable. That is the right word I'm using to you. But we can see how to manage the situation when it comes. We can see how to survey the situation when it comes. So operational improvement, what can we do to improve the situation when we have run into a loss? How do we, what can we do to improve the situation when we have run into a loss? Of course, we'll talk about operational improvement. What can we do to improve the situation? One of the things is what? Leverage on technology. Yes, of course, we have technology these days that helps you to make things easy and very accurate for you. Particularly, for instance, you go to the banking sector, you go to the banking hall, you see counting machine. Do you understand me? So why do bank have counting machine? They want to save you the stress of counting the money. They want to save you the stress of inaccuracy. Sometimes you can use your hand to count the money, and one bundle you can use 100 times you can count it 100 times for you to be accurate. Do you understand me? You can count is over, you can count is below, but it might be accurate. But the counting machines as a way of technology will help you to improve efficiency. It helps you to improve efficiency and reduce these manual errors. Of course, there is manual. Most times, losses are caused by manual errors. Losses are caused by manual errors. Those are losses caused by man-made errors. You understand me? So, carelessness, not paying attention, inefficiencies, and all of that. So, technology can help you reduce those manual errors. Technology can also help you improve performance. You understand me? So leverage on technology as an operational improvement against losses. Leverage on technology as an operational improvement against losses. Of course, involve and improve process. Involve and improve your process. So involve some processes and improving them on them rather. Do you understand me? So like maybe improving, you're introducing technology as a way of salvaging the situation. Please involve those technology and improving it. So I've come to a business for I've been invited sometimes to a business outfit. They have all the technologies. They have one computer. Yes, they have a computer. It's actually a supermarket, and they have a computer where the inventories, the stock are already analyzed. So it's just for you to sell and scan, and so that you know that how much. But they don't use it. They prefer this manual. Please go and check. Please go and check how many carton of Indomie there is remaining. But whereas if you have involved the technology, if you have improved on the technology, you don't need to count. Just looking at the stock will tell you how much has been sold and how much is available. So as you try to improve and introduce technology, please involve that technology, and of course, particularly improve the process. This will help you to assess operational processes, and this will equally help you to minimize inefficiencies and errors. So by the time you involve technology, by the time you involve the process of technology, and by the time, of course, likewise, you involve the process and increase and continue to use the technology, it helps you to minimize inefficiencies and human or manual error. So lastly, on operational improvements against losses is what? Strengthen employees' involvement. You understand me? I'm talking to entrepreneurs, I'm talking to small business owners. Involve employees' involvement. Involve employees' involvement. So strengthen employees' involvement. So try to involve the employees. Let them know the business in and out. So sometimes, like I've said, when you employ somebody, let the people know when losses are happening in the business. Let them know that they have incurred losses in the business. Do you understand me? They may end up not being penalized. Do you understand? They may end up not paying back all the losses. But let them know, bring it to their forefront, bring it to the front burner. Let them know that they've incurred losses. And particularly, if you know a particular person or a particular office or someone who is responsible for that loss, point it out to the person and let the person know that he or she is responsible for this particular loss, that he or she is responsible for this particular loss. And that will help to strengthen the employees' involvement. It helps to strengthen employees' involvement in the process. So that way, it also helps them to be very careful. It helps them to also involve technology and also help them to increase the process. Do you understand me? So don't just build, like what I'm telling you is that because I've been to business outfits who have tried as much as possible to involve and introduce technology into the business world, but those technology only functions at the office of the Oga, or only functions at the office of the MD. So where the MD is not involved, so nobody does anything technological, nobody does anything with technology, nobody does anything with efficiency. So everybody goes manual until Oga is at the office or until Oga is on seat. That is when we involve technology. So in your absence, there can be incurring more losses on manual errors. Do you understand me? So Strengthen employees' involvement, introduce technology into the business, teach them how to use the technology, and ensure strict compliance on those technology. That way, to help you to reduce losses in business. That way, to help them to know. And particularly when anyone, any office or any person is responsible for this particular loss, please let the person know that he or she is responsible for that loss. It helps the person to strengthen up. It helps the person to brazen up against those losses next time. That is where we shall be drawing the curtain for a close in today's edition. Remember, today's discussion has been on managing losses in business. Remember, we have established that losses are imminent, losses are evident, losses are inevitable. So every time in business, we must suffer loss. We must suffer loss. Many times it is not intentional losses, but call it business losses. You know that most times it can be accidents, but losses must essentially come. In as much as we pray for profit, in as much as we want to enjoy increased profit on daily basis, the same way that our inefficiencies, our manual errors can also help us to incur losses on business and on daily basis too. We can do many times as possible to ensure that we minimize those losses. And one of the key things we say, what do we do to manage the situation? What do we do to survey the situation when we are against law? We'll talk about analyzing your finance. We'll talk about cutting costs. We'll talk about increasing revenue. Of course, also talk about managing your debt. Of course, we also looked at developing strategies to help you incur, to help you to safeguard your business against more losses. And we said we should also seek professional advice. We say we should seek professional advice. I would say, what are the operational improvement that you can employ to help you reduce losses? We'll talk about introducing technology, and we'll talk about involving those technology and improving the process. And we say also strengthening employees' involvement into the business. For that way, they will know that they are part of it. That way, they will know how to operate all of this and to avoid all those inefficiencies. So that is where we shall be drawing the curtain for a close in this week's edition, trusting that by next week we shall be back again. But in case you still need our help in anything, whether you need our help you to come talk to your business or help you to talk to your team, please, you can also reach out to me on the number that is always shown on your screen. Of course, maybe you need my job either on graphic design or on branding, you need me to do anything printing for you, please, you can always as well reach out to me on the number shown on your screen. Or you need me to do your live streaming event or live video production or live streaming for any kind of event, please, you can as well also reach out to me via the number that is shown on the screen. This is where we should draw the curtain for close. So remember, like, share, tag someone, click to tag someone, click to share to someone, click to comment, click to mention someone. And if you're following us on YouTube, please remember to click on the subscription button. That way you shall be getting notification of our subsequent edition. That is why we shall be drawing to a curtain to a close. See you again next time when we shall meet again. Continue to enjoy business, continue to enjoy success in your business. See you. Bye-bye.